morning, squirrels. Gotta put new batteries. We get them out now. I thought they took double A's. They totally don't. They take these. But yay, I have them. I just have to remember to put them in. We are on, I think. Let me make sure. Let's see. Yep. Chapter 18 of The Murder at the Vicarage. Let's hope for more Miss Marple. And y'all, I don't have a black shirt on again today. It's got black trim, but I do change. Black sweater. My mummy's black sweater. The inquest was held that afternoon, Saturday, at 2 o'clock at the Blue Boar. The local excitement was, I need hardly say, tremendous. There had been no murder in St. Mary Mead for at least 15 years. And to have someone like Colonel Prothero murdered actually in the vicarage study is such a feast of sensation as rarely falls to the lot of a village population. It's a National Hat Day, I found out, because Madonna puts up all the stuff for each day on the Zoom chat. She may put it up on her community tab and stuff too. I'm not sure. But it's National Hat Day. And I meant to show this at live. I didn't get a chance to show anything at live. It was all I could do to keep up. So tomorrow, I might just show stuff and not talk to anybody. Say hey everybody. Sorry. Back to the book. Various comments floated to my ears which I was probably not meant to hear. There's Vicar. Looks pale, don't he? I wonder if he had a hand in it. 'Twas done at Vicarage after all. How can you marry Adams and him visiting Henry Abbott at the time? Oh, but they do say him and the Colonel had words. There's Mary Hill giving herself airs, she is, on account of being in service there. Hush. Here's Coroner. The coroner was Dr. Roberts of our adjoining town of Much Benham. He cleared his throat, adjusted his eyeglasses, and looked important. To recapitulate, all the evidence would be merely tiresome. Lawrence Redding gave evidence of finding the body and identified the pistol as belonging to him. To the best of his belief, he had seen it on Tuesday 2 days previously. It was kept on a shelf in his cottage, and the door of the cottage was habitually unlocked. Mrs. Prothero gave evidence that she had last seen her husband at about 5:45 when they separated in the village street. She agreed to call for him at the vicarage later. She had gone to the vicarage about 6:15 by the way of the back lane and the garden gate. She heard no voices in the study and had imagined that the room was empty, but her husband might have been sitting at the writing table, in which case she would not have seen him. As far as she knew, he had been in his usual health and spirits. She knew of no enemy who might have had a grudge against him. I gave evidence next, told of my appointment with Prothero and my summons to the Abbotts. I described how I had found the body and my summoning of Dr. Haydock. How many people, Mr. Clement, were aware that Colonel Prothero was coming to see you that evening? A good many, I should imagine. My wife knew, and my nephew, and Colonel Prothero himself alluded to the fact that morning. When I met him in the village, I should think several people might have overheard him. As being slightly deaf, he spoke in a loud voice. It was then a matter of common knowledge. Anyone might know. I agreed. Haydock followed. He was an important witness. He described carefully and technically the appearance of the body and the exact injuries. It was his opinion that the deceased had been shot at approximately 6:20 to 6:30, certainly no later than 6:35. That was the outside limit. He was possible and emphatic on that point. There was no question of suicide. The wound could not have been self-inflicted. Inspector Slack's evidence was discreet and abridged. He described the summons and the circumstances under which he had found the body. The unfinished letter was produced and the time on it, 6:20, noted. Also the clock. It was tacitly assumed that the time of death was 6:22. The police were giving nothing away. Anne Prothero told me afterwards that she had been told to suggest a slightly earlier period of time than 6:20 for her visit. Our maid Mary was the next witness and proved a somewhat truculent one. She hadn't heard anything and didn't want to hear anything. It wasn't as though gentlemen who came to see the vicar usually got shot. They didn't. They got her own jobs. She'd got her own jobs to look after. Colonel Prothero had arrived at 6:15 exactly. No, she didn't look at the clock. She heard the church chime after she had shown him into the study. She didn't hear any shot. If there had been a shot, she'd have heard it. Well, of course. She knew there must have been a shot since the gentleman was found shot, but there it was. She hadn't heard it. The coroner did not press the point. I realized that he and Colonel Melchett were working in agreement. Mrs. Lestrange had been subpoenaed to give evidence, but a medical certificate signed by Dr. Haydock was produced saying she was too ill to attend. There was only one other witness, a somewhat doddering old woman, the one who, in Slack's phrase, did for Lawrence Redding. Mrs. Archer was shown the pistol and recognized it as the one she had seen in Mr. Redding's sitting room. Over against the bookcase he kept it, lying about. She had last seen it on the day of the murder. Yes, in answer to a further question, she was quite sure it was there at lunchtime on Thursday, 1:45, when she left. I remembered what the inspector had told me, and I was mildly surprised. However vague she might have been when he questioned her, she was quite positive about it now. The coroner summed up in a negative manner, but with a good deal of firmness. The verdict was given almost immediately. Murder by person or persons unknown. Yay, tea. As I left the room, I was aware of a small army of young men with bright, alert faces and a kind of superficial resemblance to each other. Several of them were already known to me by sight as having haunted the vicarage the last few days. Seeking to escape, I plunged back into the Blue Boar and was lucky enough to run straight into the archaeologist, Dr. Stone. I clutched at him without ceremony. "Journalist," I said briefly and expressively, "if you could deliver me from their clutches." "Why, certainly, Mr. Clement. Come upstairs with me." He led the way up the narrow staircase and into a sitting room where Miss Cram was sitting, rattling the keys of a typewriter with a practiced touch. She greeted me with a broad smile of welcome and seized the opportunity to stop work. "Awful, isn't it?" she said, "not knowing who did it, I mean." But not that I'm disappointed in an inquest. Tame, that's what I call it. Nothing what you might call spicy from beginning to end. You were there then, Miss Cram? I was there, all right. Fancy you're not seeing me. Didn't you see me? I feel a bit hurt about that. Yes, I do. A gentleman, even if he is a clergyman, ought to have eyes in his head. Were you present also? I asked Dr. Sloan in an effort to escape from this playful badinage. Young women like Miss Cram always make me feel awkward. No, I'm afraid I feel very little interest in such things. I'm a man very wrapped up in his own hobby. It must be a very interesting hobby, I said. You know something of it, perhaps. I was obliged to confess that I knew next to nothing. Dr. Stone was not the kind of man whom a confession of ignorance daunts. The result was exactly the same as though I had said that the excavation of barrows was my only relaxation. He surged and eddied from speech, long burrows, round burrows, Stone Age, Bronze Age, Paleolithic, Neolithic, Kistivanes, and cromlechs. It burst forth in a torrent. I had little to do save nod my head and look intelligent, and that last is perhaps over-optimistic. Dr. Stone boomed on. He was a little man. His head was round and bald. His face was round and rosy. And he beamed at you through very strong glasses. I had never known a man so enthusiastic on so little encouragement. He went into every argument for and against his own pet theory, which, by the way, I quite failed to grasp. He detailed at great length his difference of opinion with Colonel Prothero. An opinionated bore, he said with heat. Yes, I know he's dead, and one should not speak ill of the dead, but death does not alter facts. An opinionated bore describes him exactly, because he had read a few books. He set himself up as an authority against a man who has made a lifelong study of the subject. My whole life, Mr. Clement has been given up to this work. My whole life. He was spluttering with excitement. Gladys Cram brought him back to earth with a terse sentence. You'll miss your train if you don't look out, she observed. Oh, the little man stopped mid-speech and dragged a watch from his pocket. Bless my soul, 1:45? Impossible. Once you start talking, you never remember the time. What do you think without me? What you do without me to look after you, I really don't know. Quite right, my dear, quite right. He patted her affectionately on the shoulder. This is a wonderful girl, Mr. Clement. Never forgets anything. I consider myself extremely lucky to have found her. Oh, go on, Dr. Stone, said the lady. You spoil me, you do. I could not help feeling that I should be in a material position to add my support to the second school of thought, that which foresees lawful matrimony as the future of Dr. Stone and Miss Cram. I imagined that, in her own way, like Cram was rather a clever young woman. You'd better be getting along, said Miss Cram. Yes, so I must. He vanished into the room next door and returned carrying a suitcase. You're leaving? I asked in some surprise. Just running up to town for a couple of days, he explained. My old mother to see tomorrow, some business with my lawyers on Monday. On Tuesday I shall return. By the way, I suppose that Colonel Prothero's death will make no difference to our arrangements as regards the barrow, I mean. Mrs. Prothero will have no objection to our continuing the work? I should not think so. As he spoke, I wondered who actually would be in authority at Old Hall. It was just possible that Prothero might have left it to Lettuce. I felt that it would be interesting to know the contents of Prothero's will. Causes a lot of trouble in a family, a death does, remarked Miss Cram, with a kind of gloomy relish. You wouldn't believe what a nasty spirit there sometimes is. Well, I must really be going. Dr. Stone made ineffectual attempts to control the suitcase, a large rug, and an unwieldy umbrella. I came to his rescue, he protested. Don't trouble, I can manage perfectly. Doubtless there will be somebody downstairs, but down below there was no trace of, my eyes are bad, Boots or anyone else. I suspect they were being regaled at the expense of the press. Time was getting on, so we set out together to the station. Dr. Stone carrying the suitcase and I holding the rug and umbrella. Dr. Stone ejaculated remarks in which panting breaths as we hurried along. Really too good of you. Didn't mean to trouble you. Hope we shan't miss the train. Gladys is a good girl. Really a wonderful girl. A very sweet nature. Not too happy at home, I'm afraid. Absolutely the heart of a child, I do assure you, in spite of differences in our ages, find a lot in common. We saw Lawrence Redding's cottage just as we turned off to the station. It stands in an isolated position with no other houses near it. I observed two young men of smart appearance standing on the doorstep and a couple more peering in at the windows. It was a busy day for the press. Nice fella, young Redding, I remarked to see what my companion would say. He was so out of breath by this time he found it difficult to say anything, but he puffed out a word which I did not at first quite catch. Dangerous, he gasped when I asked him to repeat his remark. Dangerous? Most dangerous. Innocent girls know no better, taken in by a fellow like that, always hanging round women, no good. From which I deduced that the only young man in the village had not passed unnoticed by the fair Gladys. Goodness, ejaculated Dr. Stone, the train. We were close to the station by this time, and we broke into a fast sprint. A down train was standing in the station, and the up London train was just coming in. At the door of the booking office, we collided with a rather exquisite young man, and I recognized Miss Marple's nephew, just arriving. He is, I think, a young man who does not like to be collided with. He prides himself on his poise and general air of detachment, and there's no doubt that vulgar content is detrimental to poise of any kind. He staggered back. I apologized hastily, and we passed him. Dr. Stone climbed on the train, and I handed up his baggage just as the train gave an unwilling jerk and started. I waved to him and then turned away. Raymond West had departed. But our local chemist, who rejoices in the name of cherubim, was just setting out for the village. I walked beside him. "Close shave, that," he observed. Well, how did the inquest go, Mr. Clement?" I gave him the verdict. "Oh, so that's what happened? I rather thought that would be the verdict. Where's Dr. Stone off to?" I repeated what he had told me. "Lucky not to miss the train. Not that you ever know. Not that you ever know on this line. I tell you, Mr. Clement, it's a crying shame. Disgraceful. That's what I call it. Train 1 came down was 10 minutes late, and that on a Saturday with no traffic to speak of. And on Thursday, yes, Thursday it was. I remember it was the day of the murder because I meant to write a strongly worded complaint to the company, and the murder put it out of my head. Yes, last Thursday I had been to the meeting of the Pharmaceutical Society. How late do you think the 6:50 was? Half an hour. Half an hour exactly. What do you think of that? 10 minutes, I don't mind, but if the train doesn't get in till 7:20, well, you can't get home before past. What I say is, why call it the 6:50? Quite so, I said, and wishing to escape from the monologue, I broke away with the excuse that I had something to say to Lawrence Redding, whom I saw approaching us on the other side of the road. That's it. "Where's Miss Marple?" This is okay, but I'm hoping it'll get better and future books will get better. Or that we'll find something else to read. But I would like to give these a chance. I don't know, something about the flow, or maybe it's just my reading. I do need to get my eyes examined. National Hat Day. Get those hats out and wear them. I did put this on with the hot glue gun, but I think it could be glued some more. I wonder, Crystal does this. She does them with hot glue, and then I just hand wash it. And I know if you put snaps on, you can change them out or whatever, but I just like this one with this. And it's got other colors too. There's purple in there, blue in there. I think there's some pink around the back. But I'll just hand wash it. But I think it needs... I was going to say, maybe Crystal trims the fur, because I was having a hard time parting it to get the glue in instead of just putting it on fur and having, So, it wiggles a little bit. It's not near as bad as this one. You can see it. I just pulled a thread through the elastic, and I should have gone up through here, but I think I'll trim some of the hairs down here and hot glue this one on too. I like the hot glue idea because I'm lazy. But I can't find my hot glue sticks. I gotta get in there in the kitchen. I've been poking around in the kitchen on that table. And underneath, I got my rechargeable batteries today. And then found out all these. I should have looked. But my little candle lights over here, I should turn those on. They take AA's. My sign takes AA's. but these little birch bark looking candles, the whitish ones, they take triples, and I just showed you I got those over there. So I was gonna show today on my live, and I'll do it tomorrow, that I think I had more done on this, but I fell asleep and I goofed it up. And I tried to fix it, and I didn't get it fixed right. You know, when there's a little pattern to it, even just a yarn over it can throw me off. But I got it fixed. So, yay, I didn't have to take it down but a few rows. So, I still have this much on this ball. And I have 4 balls total, so that should be a plenty for a shawl. A rectangular wrap. It's my middle name, rectangular wrap. And this is the book. I'll show all this in live. This is the little book I found at the bottom of Dory's Party in a Box. Her second one. And she gave me this. I'm still going to look through this. Isn't that beautiful? And it came with a little bonus. Easy peasy Afghans. I dare not start anything else though. I just gotta get on other whips. Oh, looky there. I saw Kristen Amdahl, I thought. Yep, right here. Knit and crochet. I like her. And I like Tony. I don't know that I know these other gals. But maybe you do. I think they come on PBS. Yep. Watch us on PBS. So tomorrow we'll look through that, and maybe we'll get to a magazine and a book my young'un gave me for Christmas. But I got all kinds of goodies today. I love my bag from Mimi. Mimi Cat Do. I love this. It's so nice and sturdy. Feels like quilted almost. Perfect circle. Ain't that cute? And Pooh Bear. And if I keep going on this, I'll be done. I need to sit my butt right here and just work on that and get done. And I didn't show fiber of the day, so it'll be fiber of the day tomorrow. Oh, I keep dropping everything. It's all right. Well, I love y'all, and I will be back tomorrow to read, and also live at 3. Lord, we had a good crowd today. At least came in at the end for the giveaway. But that's fine with me. And I'm tickled Sandra won today. She said she had never won anything. So I gotta look and see if she has emailed me yet as to what she wants. And Sandra, if you're probably not here. I'll say it on live tomorrow, but she knows because she's in South Carolina. We might get some weather that might leave us stuck in the house for a little bit. I love snow. Ice is gorgeous. If it didn't, I love the way it looks on the trees. Makes everything just so magical looking. But I don't like that it's so heavy on the limbs. It'll make limbs fall on my trailer. And gusty winds it's supposed to be. I don't want trees falling on me or my brother. So y'all help me pray, or power outages. So, but I would love to see some snow. Just beautiful snow. Snow, beautiful snow. And, sorry, keep knocking around on my computer. I have been sitting in here just a little bit every once in a while working on this little rolled brimmed hat. I love that texture. It's navy blue with all those pops of colors. Ain't that cool? Anyway, blah, 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 blah. Wish y'all were here. I feel like doing another live where I show you more stuff than try to keep up with the chat. I want to see what y'all are saying, but it is hard one person doing it. Maybe I'll just start having, I don't know, I need to ask her before I announce anything. Never mind. Well, y'all have a great evening. Be sweet, don't be ugly, and we'll see each other in the YT streets probably before my live at tea at 3 with GrannyDee tomorrow. That's Eastern time. We're going to have another winner. And you get your choice of several things. Bye. Love y'all. I said be sweet, don't be ugly, didn't I? It bears repeating. Love you.